headlines from the week, fantasy perspectives, all that good stuff. And we'll start with some bad news, unfortunately, for the Rams and their leading rusher from last year. He's done for the year. Cam Akers, torn Achilles, had a workout this week, getting ready for training camp, unlikely to see any action this week. So now, Geoff, since we talked about this a little bit yesterday, I will let your momentum carry over in this show. What do you feel the Rams will do in this backfield? How does your outlook change of the Rams backfield with this news?
Yeah, so, I mean, we did talk about this a little bit on the stream yesterday. Look, Daryl Henderson Jr., I mean, there's a reason that he's on the team. He's a second-round draft pick. This guy was very highly touted coming out of college. Now, he hasn't gotten the Sean McVay love that Cam Akers did yet, and that's a little bit of a red flag. But, you know, all indications are, and maybe this is just a result of there not being that many great free agents out there for them to go out and sign right away. But all indications are, you know, the Rams are going to hitch their wagon to Daryl Henderson Jr. Now, they do have some other interesting backs that they picked up, like a Jag Funk. But I think from a fantasy perspective, you have to trust this. We saw Daryl Henderson be pretty productive when he was in the starting role before Cam Akers came back from injury last year. This is a player who scored 25 touchdowns his last year in college. He was a very good receiver in college as well. I think that right now with his valuation, you can still get him at a reasonable price under guys like Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. If his price went up, it might become more of a fade spot. But right now, you got to trust Daryl Henderson Jr. He's got the pedigree.
All right, let's go to Kenny Ducey. Hi, Kenny. What do you think on Cam Akers?
Yeah, I'm going right to Xavier Jones. Look, this is a really bad situation for the Los Angeles Rams. Cam Akers was developing into one of the, not only one of the best running backs in the NFL, but for my money, one of the best fantasy players. I think that he was destined to be potentially a top 10 fantasy player over the next few years. So he's really talented. It's going to be a huge hole. And obviously Super Bowl hopefuls, this team, you know, Matt Stafford, an MVP hopeful. I think that the fantasy impact here, I think that they probably lean a little bit more on Matt Stafford and guys like Bobby Trees and Cooper Kupp. But if I'm looking at a guy to fill the void, yeah, Daryl Henderson, he's a good option, but he's going to be expensive in redraft leagues. I think that Xavier Jones, he's undrafted out of SMU. He's technically the backup running back now. It seems like this is a situation where they're at least going to give him a chance. They gave Daryl Henderson his chance last year. We heard all the praise for him going into the season, how talented he was. He was okay. He didn't really take the bull by the horns. He got beat out by Cam Akers. I think that we could see a repeat here. You got a youngster, 23-year-old Xavier Jones. Maybe he comes in here. Maybe he does something with his first few games and he takes over. And I don't think it's really going to cost you much in draft capital to get him.
Reid, if only you ran into Kenyon Drake this week. He could have told them that he had a chance with the Rams, but he's with your Raiders, of course. How does your fantasy outlook change with the Rams with this Cam Akers news?
Yeah, I believe it's Ducey to talk about Xavier Jones. Of course, UDFA, special teamer, not necessarily tested at all from an NFL standpoint. And that's, I think, the problem that we're going to get into, not just with the Rams running backs, but in fantasy football in general, is we're so infatuated by rookies and untested guys that there's so much upside, and it's true. And Daryl Henderson does have that upside, to what Geoff was saying, you know, above 19 points in 3 of his first 5 games, but the durability is an issue. I'm not going to be drafting Henderson, especially if you're doing redrafts now, you know, dynasties, whatever it may be now. I'm not touching him at all until I see who they sign. And it's going to be a Gurley, an AP, a Devonta Freeman, a Lev Bell, anyone like Lamar Miller if he gets cut, right? There's going to be a ton of guys that are going to come down the pike after training camps and the moves get made on all of these different teams. And I'm not even going to touch this Rams backfield. What I do like, though, is that this offense is great. This defense is probably even better. So they're going to lean on the running game more so than probably last year, or if they had Jared Goff coming into this year. So I do like the situation, but you got to see what comes down the pike first.
The Aaron Rodgers saga continues. This week we found out from Adam Schefter he turned down a deal from the Packers that would have made him the top paid quarterback and player in the NFL. If you are drafting your fantasy team at this time of year, Kenny, what do you do with Rodgers and his uncertain future?
I'm not drafting him. Look, this guy's built different, okay? He is a vengeful man. I do believe that he would hold a chip on his shoulder and just retire from the National Football League if what has been reported is true. We don't know how bad it is between him and the Packers. It could just be something very minor that he gets over. That's the risk that we take here. But the risk that you take drafting him is that this is a bad schism and that Aaron Rodgers is very upset with the Packers. And if he is, I mean, this could be a Carson Palmer situation when he's like, look, man, if you're not going to trade me, I'm just not going to play. I'm going to retire from the NFL. I do believe that that could happen. It's crazy because this guy is coming off an MVP year, but I don't think we've seen a guy hold a chip on his shoulder quite like Aaron Rodgers. He is still upset at the Niners for passing on him all these years later. He has not let anything go in his career. So why would he let this go in the span of a few months? If again, what we've been told is to be true. Also, I'm not drafting like these quarterbacks that high anyway. You generally overpay for quarterbacks, so no need to get Aaron Rodgers.
All right, Reid, you were shaking your head after Kenny's response. What do you have to say?
Yeah, it's all true. But to not draft Aaron Rodgers, I think, is a fool's errand because everyone has a price, right? I mean, if he's going in the 6th round now, which is a guy who is routinely going as number 3 or 4 quarterback in redrafts, I think you're getting kind of a discount, and you want to play the discomfort that most people feel and the uncertainty that most people feel, because you're getting him around the same. If you're looking at mocks where these RB2s and these wide receiver 2s are going, like a Robbie Anderson, like some of these guys like Myles Gaskin, you're telling me that, yes, even though his touchdown rate was 9.1% last year and his career is like 6.3, you're getting one of the best quarterbacks who, to your point, Kenny, is a vengeful man. Even if he retires and someone picks him up, even if, whatever the case may be, wherever he's going to be the guy. The offense is going to revolve around Aaron Rodgers. If the right price comes along, I'm going to be drafting him and then eventually draft future Hall of Famer Ryan Fitzpatrick in the last round.
Jeff, it's not about the money. It's about sending a message. How do you feel about Aaron Rodgers?
That's right. And look, I think Reid is onto something here. You got to play the valuations with the Green Bay Packers. You know, if people are going to send you a message, then you've got to listen to it. Look, if Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill are both there at, like, say, pick 9 in your draft, I would lean Tyreek Hill just for the fact I don't want to deal with the Aaron Rodgers, instability right now. I think that's fair. But if Devontae Adams suddenly drops to, like, the pick 17 or something because people are scared, yeah, you're going to take Devontae Adams. And it's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Play the valuations. If Tom Brady starts going over Aaron Rodgers for fantasy purposes, you'd be insane not to take Aaron Rodgers when he falls. So, yeah, you should play. You should be a little bit wary of the uncertainty. I don't think you need to go out and pay, take Devontae Adams with the 2nd overall pick, even though I think he's going to have another good year. But you've got to be mindful that there is a little bit of uncertainty here. And you could be left with a really bad situation if this thing falls apart, or like Kenny's, doomsday scenario comes true. So.